put myself on here. What am I here for? Because I just watched one of the greatest of all time. And I'm going to go on a live. Don't know how many people this is going to reach, but I'll put it some way, shape, or form. John Cena is probably up there. If Mount Rushmore had more than four faces, I am somewhat of that idiot. I watched wrestling since I was a tiny kid, and let's just be. There are so many phases of the league, of the world that we live in. When I started wrestling, first major person I ever recognized was Hulk Hogan. And then it evolves, the business evolves. Then it went to Hogan. It goes to Hogan, the Warrior, goes to Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, Edge, Kurt Angle. You needed that next face, and John Cena was that. 23 years in the business. I still remember that episode where, his old gimmick was the prototype. Throw him fire with Kurt Angle and throw the ruthless aggression thing. And he was kind of a boring wrestler until they figured out what sold and what John Cena needed to become. Basically, he was just being himself. He could have rapped, he could have done anything, and that gimmick was one of the best things that he ever did. And it just morphed. It morphed into hustle, loyalty, and respect for way over almost almost short of 2 decades, right around that. Because I mean, he was in WrestleMania 19. I can't remember what he did, off the top of my head, but WrestleMania 20, he beats The Big Show for the U.S. title. The very following year, he beats JBL in the Staples Center, Crypto, whatever it is. Now, that was WrestleMania 21, where he beat JBL and became WWE champion. You could go that whole entire list of, JBL was right, big time, big match John. Now, he beats JBL. He beats Triple H in Chicago, where he was starting to become booed. And then he goes to Ford Field the following year, in which it was supposed to be a triple threat, but it ended up being Cena and Shawn Michaels in the main event in Ford Field in front of like almost 75,000. And it just started trickling. He started becoming that big match. He started becoming that guy, the hustle, loyalty, and respect. And I could go on. I'm trying to remember every other thing. Like following year, it was a triple threat in Orlando, and he won the Royal Rumble. He was number 30. He just had an immaculate career, 17-time champion. And I think the company wanted to get him that Grand Slam title. And in a way, you give Dominic Mysterio a little bit of that credit. I don't know if it was a little bit crazy to have that in his final stretch that he had to face Dominic Mysterio twice. But I think that was if you're a fan of the business and you know what the business is, you literally have to just come to fruition that people are willing to do that for you and make that moment happen. And I had the title for 19 days, I think, something like that. But kudos to Dominic Mysterio. But one-time Intercontinental Champion. I think it was 5-time U.S. Champion, 4-time Tag Team Champion. 2 times he won the Royal Rumble. I think he won Money in the Bank once, I believe it was. And but 17 times. And he did it at a very, and he did win the Royal Rumble again over Jey Uso at the end. The twist of the turns at the Elimination Chamber in Toronto with The Rock and Cody, I think it just led to a very, very interesting point of how was this going to go? Is he going to get his 13? Or excuse me, is he going to get his 17? I still wanted the twist with The Rock, and it never happened because The Rock has a very, 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 very tough schedule. And that's a side note because I'd rather see Cody and The Rock finish it out at WrestleMania. I don't think that's going to happen. But in a sense. I think a lot of people just think this. I mean, he sold the heel turn and won his 17th title in a very mediocre WrestleMania. I don't want to hear this. Well, AEW All In was better than WrestleMania. Just put that away. They're two different. It's two. Those are two different things. But I mean, AEW's All In was not half bad. But I don't watch AEW religiously like you used to watch WWE back in the day. But it just depends on what your taste is. I think WrestleMania 40. I think WrestleMania in the first time in Vegas last year was very mediocre. There was a couple good things, a couple great matches, but in the end, it was. I think it was kind of like a B- show, but and I'm being generous about it. There's some people that said it was a D-. There's some people it was a C+. Some people, I think I would probably give it a tier, maybe a C. But main event, that triple threat on night one was better than night two. But the lead up this entire year, when he announced next year, this is my year. I'm only going to do these events and blah blah blah, and even in the events that he did in Europe, those people went off on him. And then when he had those matches and those lead ups with CM Punk and Randy Orton, and then it started to hit where I think Triple H was starting to think, all right, it didn't work out, but how are you gonna? All right, well, this didn't work, and I can't get The Rock back, and Roman's coming back soon. What are you gonna do? Well, I think Cody was right. He's like, you know what? Let us figure it out. And you give Cody Rhodes credit, making him just switch on a dime, and they had pretty much a 4.5-star match at SummerSlam, 30-some minute match, and it led to Cody getting the title back. But from that point, I think we saw John being John. I mean, he wanted to do the things he wanted to. So what? He got the crap beat out of him by Brock Lesnar. I think everybody kind of figured that. But all the other matches that he did, Logan Paul was good. AJ Styles was a 5-star match. Oh, he every match he had with AJ Styles was 5-star. But the last handful, I mean, go get rid of Brock. Brock was not going to lose that match. But the thing with Dominic was cool. I think a lot of other people would have wanted to have that final shot. Nobody liked the fact that Gunther got that final shot, but it's going to be interesting to see where this leads, because Michael Cole said after Gunther won, professional wrestling just killed sports entertainment. Professional wrestling is sports entertainment, and Gunther is probably one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. And a man who used to be 320 in his younger days in ICW and in Europe. And when he got picked up by WWE, that was a steal, because you didn't want AEW or TNA or New Japan to pick him up. WWE scored with Gunther. Nobody has to like him, but he scored, winning the NXT UK title, won the NXT. Did he win the NXT title? Yes, he did. He won the NXT title. Then he had that feud with Ilya Dragunov. I remember. That was in the pandemic area. Nobody has to like the fact that it was Gunther and Cena for the last match. My opinion is like, yeah, Cena could have probably won, but I think I looked at him when he did the tap. He kind of smirked, and he was like, I'm done. And he's kind of like, he had to look really quick, and he got that little smirk, that little twitch in his lip, and he's just getting, I mean, 6, 7, 9, 8 times, Cena getting wrapped in the freaking, in that sleeper hold, in that rear naked choke, in that sleeper hold, 7, 8 times. I mean, that wasn't a 5-star match, but it was pretty darn good, close to 4. And Gunther can sell. Gunther knows, and he did it well with Punk. He did it well with Jey Uso, maybe, but I think it was to a point where it's like, when he did that, I'm like, he's tired, he's done. And of course, I don't know if you heard the fans were yelling BS, but he gives his heart out every single time he runs down that ring. And that's somebody for the, and go figure, I'm 50 years old and I got to see him for 23 years. It's amazing. So he literally said, I'm going to have my last match, and come Monday, come next week or whatever, you're going to forget all about me, because he said he's done, he's tired. And I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. I looked at him when he's wrapped up and he's just smirking. He's like, I think he just basically just said he's done. So this might get Gunther back in the title picture, but that's Gunther. Nobody has to like him, but it is what it is. I give John Cena his props. Congratulations on one hell of a career. If you watched the Saturday Night's Main Event, if you had Peacock, you had to watch the whole thing. Every tribute, everybody that he's ever encountered in his entire career, most of them just showed up to Washington just to see him. It doesn't matter if he won or lost, just to see him in that ring one more time. And I think the WWE kind of had that good build up the entire time, and I think it did its job. No, and I get it. Everybody booed Hunter when he came out, but I mean, Hunter's in a little bit of hot water because the decision making that he's been doing has not been great. But you know, he's not Vince, and you don't want Vince back. I think you probably need to figure out what you need to put forward. And this was kind of honestly, this was kind of a good night. It was a really good night. I mean, you saw Sol Ruco beat Bayley, and Bayley smiled and was laughing when she lost, which was a good thing because Bayley's just one of the most humble human beings. And God, I love Bayley. But Sol Ruco wins. Oba Femi is going to be a massive megastar. I mean, I think you're going to see the future with Sol and with Oba Femi, and they're already going to push Braun Breaker to be one of the big faces of the company for the next 10 years. And I think Javon Evans is going to be an absolute banger. They're trying to get Leon Slater, like after he's done with his contract with TNA, they are going to literally back up the Brinks truck for Leon Slater. I think that's going to happen. But that's also that TNA working agreement that they're having. I don't know how much longer it's going to work, but it's actually been a cool thing, because now, since WWE and TNA did that working agreement for a handful of months, TNA got themselves a TV deal. So congratulations to them. It's fun to see that. But John Cena will most likely be on the Mount Rushmore. I think he will go on there with. I could go anywhere. I really could. I could go anywhere, because you go back to the early days, and then you go back to the early days. You had to, because there's different eras. There's way too many different eras. I can't just put 4 people. I just don't know, because if I put 4 people, somebody's going to be pissed off that I leave somebody out. Like, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say Bruno Sammartino, Hogan, Ric Flair, John Cena. But if I leave out The Undertaker, everyone's going to have a fit. So, but to me, honestly, for my lifetime that I saw, Hogan, Cena, The Undertaker, and it's going to be a toss-up. It's a coin flip between Austin and The Rock. I don't know which one you want to go to, but I mean, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels is right up there too. But guys, John Cena had his last match. He unfortunately fell to defeat to the Ring General, Gunther, and I don't know where that's going to lead to, but he did in fact say, after tonight, you're going to forget all about me. I kind of doubt that, because if you're a wrestling purist, and there's many people who are wrestling streamers, and I've seen half of them all over Instagram, and I watch Mini Portal on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, they know the business, and I've seen the business. I don't know how much I'm going to watch religiously as I get older, but I think we've seen the future in front of us. We see it in NXT, but John Cena, hustle, loyalty, and respect, and you got an amazing career, and I'm older than you. Whatever. Congratulations on an amazing career. Your thoughts and your comments are welcome. and I will see you legends in the next one.